My name's Kagen Wittbold. I'm a customer success manager with Tractian. Part of what my job here is to ensure that our customers are seeing value from the insights we generate. What we're doing today is going through example insights with real customers to understand how the process flow is for understanding the response to insights and how customer success interfaces with plants to make sure that they're seeing value from Tractian. In this case, we were working with a plastics manufacturer out of Indiana, and their issue was a lubrication problem for one of their coax extruder motors. And in this case, we noticed that there was a lubrication problem. And when we look at the data for this lubrication problem in analytics, we see this high raised carpet in the high frequency. This is generally an indication of a lubrication problem, right? When we're thinking of lubrication and any high frequency problems, we're thinking acceleration, right? Things that we can't really hear or feel that have low energy but high impact. And so when we go into our analytics sample and we back up our trend to when this insight came through, we noticed that this insight was originally present on June 11th. And so what we can do here is we can take a look at this initial insight. And what we want to do is we want to put this in acceleration, right? Like I mentioned, we're thinking high frequency when we're thinking lubrication problems. And like I also mentioned, there's this high frequency random noise floor in the high frequency domain of this graph. This, like I mentioned, is a really good indicator that there is a potential lubrication problem brewing with a motor. And so when we noticed this, we had our customer go out and conduct an inspection. And when they did that inspection, they realized that their maintenance team had not been greasing this motor for well over a year. And it's simply because of where this motor is located, it's very hard to lubricate. Their lubrication team had no idea that there was a motor even down here to lubricate. So this sparked a bit of a change in process in operations for their maintenance team to realize, oh my gosh, we've been ignoring an asset for months and months and months. This could have imminently failed had we not tried to address it. And so what's really interesting here is like if we go back to our analytics tab and we start looking at the lubrication problem from when it was first identified to dates shortly thereafter to see after they conducted their lubrication event, which was here, how did it get better, right? So when we look at this, we're looking at dates shortly thereafter. So I'm looking at maybe, let's take like June, like maybe July 3rd. Let's take, yeah, something around here. And then maybe something another like 2-3 weeks later, just to validate that it hasn't gotten much worse. And we can compare these samples, right? So what I can do now is I can pull open all three samples overlaid with one another. I can put this in the acceleration spectrum again and go through the waterfall plot so I can physically see how these samples have progressed over time, right? So this orange sample that was taken at the time of the insight, you see this extremely high raised noise floor, right? Almost at 0.7 Gs of acceleration, pretty high. The next sample, shortly after the lubrication event, we notice that it comes down dramatically by about half. And shortly after that, 2 weeks after that, once they've done another lubrication event, it's down to maybe a quarter of the amplitude that it was before. And this is how we know that the lubrication event was really the root cause of the problem, right? Because we see the amplitudes of these graphs go down dramatically shortly after the maintenance event has taken place. And so this is one of those great insights that show, yes, there's savings in the motor, right? But this is also a great example of how Tractian can help enable maintenance teams to change their practices, right? Yes, it's great to understand when we're having a lubrication problem. It's more important to understand when maintenance teams are ignoring or failing to address problems because they simply don't know they exist, right? So this is a really great example of how Tractian can help enable your maintenance team even beyond just taking care of specific issues.